Welcome to Meaningfulness, Engineering Purpose in a Complex World. I'm Djeff B., Principal Architect at Meaningfulness Media Group, where we build rigorous frameworks to uncover objective meaning through authentic connection, ethical systems thinking, and responsible stewardship in an age of AI and informational chaos. In each episode, we explore profound ideas to help you navigate existential questions and build deeper purpose. If you're seeking evidence-based insights on philosophy, psychology, and human flourishing, you're in the right place. Let's begin.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into a really powerful idea for how to tell difficult truths in what feels like an increasingly complicated world. It's all based on a framework called the Gardener's Gambit.
All right, let's just jump right in with a question I think every single one of us has wrestled with. You've got a difficult truth you need to tell someone you care about. So what do? Do you just drop it on them like a bomb? Is that always the right thing to do? Or, the most ethical?
For the longest time, it feels like we've been caught in this trap. On one side, you've got absolute candor, just the raw, unvarnished truth that can cause real psychological damage. But on the other side, you have what's called paternalistic deception, basically lying for someone's own good, which, as we all know, just destroys trust. So this begs a really critical question. Is there a third path? A better way?
First, to really get this, we have to explore how our modern world has turned what used to be a personal dilemma into a full-blown crisis. Because let's face it, the very nature of truth itself has gotten incredibly complicated.
The paper we're looking at calls our current situation an epistemological collapse. I know, it's a heavy term, but the idea is actually pretty simple and, frankly, a little scary. It means that as a society, we can't even agree anymore on the basic rules for figuring out what's true. Our shared foundation for reality, it's cracking.
And this is where it gets really interesting. This slide breaks down the forces that are driving this collapse. We've got algorithms creating these personal echo chambers. We have platforms that literally reward outrage. There's an entire economy that profits from dividing us. And now, on top of all that, we have AI that makes it practically free to create incredibly convincing lies. It's a perfect storm of informational chaos. All this chaos creates a very specific kind of danger, which the paper labels ontological harm. This is when a truth is so massive, so world-shattering, and a person is so unprepared to hear it, that it doesn't enlighten them, it actually breaks them. It's a truth that causes real, predictable psychological damage.
So, we're faced with a world where truth can be weaponized, even if by accident. What do? Well, the paper proposes a new framework for navigating this landscape, a way to be honest without being harmful.
This new path is called compassionate logic, and its central idea is a pretty radical shift in focus. The most important ethical question is no longer whether to tell the truth. The real question is how and when to tell it. It's about becoming a responsible steward of the truth.
The core principle here is this idea of pragmatic veracity. What this really means is that you honor reality, you respect the truth, by carefully managing how you deliver it. You actually adjust the timing and the framing to match what the other person can handle, making sure the truth can be received in a constructive way. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? A commitment to reality, delivered at a human pace. It's not about hiding from what's real, not at all. It's about delivering it with care, at a pace that a human mind and heart can actually absorb without shattering.
And this is the central metaphor for the entire framework, and I love it. Think of a difficult truth like a seed. Now, if you just throw that seed onto hard, unprepared concrete, it's not going to grow. A good gardener would never do that. A good gardener prepares the soil first. The goal is to cultivate a person's readiness so the truth can actually take root and lead to growth, not destruction.
Okay, so let's get practical. How do you actually put this into action, especially when the stakes are incredibly high?
The framework gives us what it calls the gardener's calculus. And I have to stress, this is not an easy excuse for telling little white lies. It is a formal, difficult, 8-step process that's designed only for emergency situations where just blurting out the truth could cause catastrophic harm. We can boil those 8 steps down into these 4 key phases. First, you assess. You weigh the harm of the truth against the person's readiness. Then you strategize, always choosing the gentlest method possible. Only then do you act, maybe using a temporary shield. And finally, this is crucial. You hold yourself accountable for delivering the full truth later.
Central to this whole process is this idea of an intervention gradient. The protocol literally forces you to start with the least intrusive option. Can you just frame the truth better? Or maybe break it into pieces? You have to exhaust all of these options before you even consider temporarily holding back a detail or, and this is an absolute last resort, using a minimal inaccuracy. And this leads to such a powerful concept. If you do have to use one of these more intrusive methods, you incur what the paper calls a disclosure debt. It's like you've taken out a loan against the truth, and it is a debt that you are ethically bound to repay.
And this slide just captures that commitment perfectly. This debt must be paid. The goal is to provide a temporary shield, not to build a permanent cage of deception. You have a non-negotiable duty to deliver the full truth and provide support as soon as that person is ready to hear it. So when you put all of these pieces together, it points to this profound shift in how we think about our responsibilities when we are the ones holding a difficult piece of information.
The framework is asking us to stop being oracles, people who just transmit data and provide answers, which often just makes other people dependent on us. Instead, we're called to be gardeners. A gardener doesn't just give a plant what it needs. A gardener cultivates the plant's own resilience, its own capacity to grow. And that right there, that leads us to the ultimate takeaway from this entire framework. That maybe, just maybe, real honesty, the most ethical and compassionate form of it, isn't about the raw data. It's about the patient, difficult, and loving work of helping cultivate another person's strength so they are capable of bearing the weight of reality. And so that leaves us with a final question to reflect on. In our own lives, with our families, our colleagues, our friends, what difficult truth are we holding that might require the patient hands of a gardener rather than the blunt voice of an oracle?
That's all for this episode. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. If these ideas resonate, continue your journey toward objective meaning and authentic connection at meaningfulness.com.au, where you'll find materials and resources to engineer purpose in your life. Until next time, let's build something meaningful.